So homes with minor damage, if your home was lightly damaged but still safe for living, your tenancy is still valid and you still owe rent. You can live there while repairs are being made and or after they are completed. Tenants may be entitled to a rent reduction during bad conditions, but should pay full rent unless they have a written agreement. If your home was lightly damaged but still safe for living, document any substandard conditions, put repair requests to your landlord in writing, and keep records. The landlord is obligated to maintain the safety and habitability of your unit. You may be entitled to negotiate a rent reduction with your landlord for housing conditions or lack of full use of the unit. Continuing with lightly damaged homes, if you withhold rent without an agreement, you run the risk of getting an eviction notice. Tenants should seek remedy through local rent board or small claims court. Even if your home can be repaired, the landlord may be able to serve you with a legal eviction notice. Your landlord may ask you to leave to make major repairs or renovations. In most cases, the landlord will have to pay, The landlord may or may not have to pay relocation assistance depending on where you live and if you are subject to state protections or local ordinances. La anterior. Even if your home can be repaired, the landlord may be able to serve you with a legal eviction notice. Your landlord may ask you to leave to make major repairs or renovations. In most cases, the landlord will have to pay you relocation money to leave. The amount you are owed will depend on whether you are subject to local ordinance or state law. You should also be entitled to proper written notice if you're asked to leave. This is usually 30 or 60 days. If you receive an eviction notice, call Stay House Delay or a legal service provider as soon as possible. If your home had minor damage, but you want to leave your unit, you must provide at least 30 days notice or the notice required by your lease. If you want to leave in the middle of your lease, try to find a replacement tenant. Your landlord may be able to hold you responsible for unpaid rent under your lease if notice is not provided or no replacement tenant is provided. Continuing with minor damage, you may be entitled to break your lease agreement if the landlord refuses to repair your unit. Make sure to fully document conditions and requests and provide an opportunity for the landlord to repair the issues. Good. Now for tenants' rights in severely damaged homes or red tagged units. If your home was severely damaged due to the wildfires, including properties that are red tagged by the government, your lease still exists. Generally, you may be able to end your lease or return to your rental unit after repairs are made. Communicate your decision to your landlord in writing and keep that in your records. A building code enforcement agency could order you to move out because your home is unsafe. In some cases, the landlord will have to pay relocation assistance, but again, this depends on whether you're subject to the state law or your local ordinances. If you do decide to end your lease, the landlord must again return your security deposit within 3 weeks, and any unused portion of January's rent must also be returned. If you're behind on rent, the landlord can use some of the deposit to fulfill that obligation. If you do decide to return to your rental unit, the landlord is responsible for making the necessary repairs to make sure the home is safe and habitable. You have the right to return to a repaired home, but you do not owe rent while the home is fully uninhabitable. After repairs are complete, you must resume paying rent. Now to specific jurisdictions, severely damaged homes in unincorporated Los Angeles, which includes Altadena. Relocation assistance for units that are not covered by the LA County Rent Stabilization and Tenant Protection Ordinance. If you're not covered by that law, you are not eligible for for relocation assistance. But save your receipts for related expenses because you may still be eligible for reimbursement through FEMA. If you intend to return to the unit after it is repaired, notify your landlord in writing and keep it on your records. If your home is covered by the unincorporated Los Angeles Rent Stabilization and Tenant Protection Ordinance, you may be eligible for temporary or permanent relocation assistance depending on your situation. Go ahead. If you are displaced for 30 days or less in unincorporated Los Angeles covered by that law, you are eligible for a per diem allowance or payment made each month for lodging, food, and incidentals from your landlord. If your landlord relocates you to a hotel or motel, the accommodations must be safe, sanitary. You are still obligated to pay rent while temporarily displaced. If you are displaced for 31 days or more, your landlord may need to provide a per diem for lodging, food, or incidentals, or temporary accommodations that are comparable to the home you were displaced from. You are still obligated to pay rent while temporarily displaced. Now specifically to the city of Pasadena. Relocation assistance for homes that are not covered by the Pasadena Rent Stabilization Ordinance. If you're not covered by that law, you are not eligible for any relocation assistance from your landlord, but you may still be eligible for assistance from other sources such as FEMA. If you are covered by the Pasadena Rent Stabilization Ordinance and you are displaced for 30 days or more for necessary repairs, you may have three important rights. The first is the right of first refusal of any comparable vacant unit owned by your landlord at the same or lower rates. Number two, the right to return to the unit at the same rent price once repairs are completed. And number three, you may also be eligible for relocation assistance. You are eligible for relocation assistance. If you are eligible, the landlord must pay you 50% of required relocation assistance within 10 days of serving you with the notice of termination. The landlord must pay the remainder of the money into an escrow account at least 28 days prior to the end of the notice. If the landlord fails to do this, they must pay you the money upon confirmation that you are vacating the unit. For the city of LA, if you are not covered by the Rent Stabilization Ordinance of LA or the Just Cause Protections of LA, your landlord, again, does not have to pay relocation assistance. If your home was severely damaged, save receipts, you may still be eligible for funding through FEMA or other sources. If you intend to return to your home, same thing, notifying your landlord in writing and keep records. If you are covered by the Rent Stabilization Ordinance of Los Angeles or the Just Cause Protections of Los Angeles, your tenancy is protected and you have a right to return to your unit. Your landlord may owe relocation assistance depending on what is done with the property and when. Permanent relocation if the unit is demolished or converted. Temporary or permanent relocation if the unit is repaired. The city will review the status of any specific building on a case-by-case basis and determine what the proper course of action is. Now on to new disaster-related tenant protections. So there are protections for unauthorized occupants and pets that were displaced by the fires. The state issued an order prohibiting evictions based on tenants allowing displaced fire victims. This includes only people to live with them, even if their lease prohibited additional tenants. That order was in effect until March 8, 2025. The city and the county passed a similar law. This one includes people and pets who were displaced by the fire, even if your lease prohibits additional tenants or pets. That order is in effect until May 31st, 2026, unless it's repealed sooner. There's also a very recent limited eviction moratorium in the County of Los Angeles. This temporarily bans evictions for non-payment of rent that came due between February 2025 to July 31st, 2025. The tenants, you qualify for this protection if your household income is less than 150% AMI, which is $103,000 for one person, or $147,300 for four. To qualify, you must also sign a writing that swears that you have lost at least 10% of your income due to the wildfires, that you're enrolled in a wildfire relief program, unemployment, or are actively seeking employment. The tenant must send the landlord this writing within 7 days of rent due each month. The tenant also must pay the back rent owed by July 31st, 2026. So 12 months after the protections expire. The Department of Consumer and Business Affairs of the county released a self-certification form that you can find on their website, and it'll guide you through the process and create the form for you to give to your landlord. There's also some protections against price gouging during times of crisis by the state. This prohibits price increases of more than 10% higher than pre-disaster rates. This covers rental housing, hotel accommodations, repair costs, and other essential consumer goods. It also prohibits evictions to lease to another tenant for a higher rent. This would be a defense in an eviction case. Again, we briefly touched on this. The rent stabilization ordinances of local governments offer other protections. For example, in the city of Los Angeles, the ordinance caps rent increases at 4%. In unincorporated LA County, that is between 2.5% and 3.5%, depending on your landlord. The Pasadena rent stabilization ordinance caps increases now at 3%. Okay. Again, this presentation was brought to you by State House Delay. You can find our website and number on the screen, and there's different numbers here to call depending on where you live, where you can access legal services. Thank you.
Yeah.